On the playground of Harlem Park Elementary Middle School in West Baltimore, these children play just like children do everywhere. The school is part of an impressive-looking complex of educational institutions embedded in this mainly working-class African-American neighborhood in Maryland's largest city. But a look across the street shows what separates this neighborhood from most others.
It's directly across the street from the elementary school. Then over here, this entire row almost is vacant.
That's a lot of houses.
Yeah, it's a lot of houses, definitely.
Carol Ott is the director of Housing Policy Watch. She has been tracking the vacant buildings in Baltimore for years now. She brought me to Harlem Park to show the stark contrast in which these children live their daily lives.
You know, as a mom and as a resident, I can't imagine that it feels good, especially as a child, to look at all this emptiness and blight.
The parents of Harlem Park also have practical concerns. Dalbert Green lives right across the street from the playground but still walks his children home.
If they're dilapidated, torn down, if they're fixable, fix them. If not, then something got to be done.
The city estimates 16,000 properties are boarded up and slowly crumbling. Estimates from housing activists are even higher. But in Harlem Park, the situation seems particularly tragic.
Harlem Park is a very, very beautiful neighborhood of historic brownstone-like homes, just like in New York.
Melvin Freeman is the executive director of the Citizens Planning and Housing Association. He says the problem facing Harlem Park is simple.
There's not anyone throwing any money at Harlem Park right now. So it's, we're going to have to get over there when we get the opportunity.
In 2010, Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake introduced Vacants to Value. Here is Michael Braverman, the Deputy Commissioner for Permits and Code Enforcement at the Housing Authority of Baltimore City.
This approach is market and data-driven, and it's about tailoring interventions in different markets that are most appropriate and most likely to achieve the blight elimination goals.
Braverman told VOR that Vacants to Value is designed to work in concert with the private sector by helping developers gain access to properties to redevelop. Much of this redevelopment work is currently being done in centrally located areas near large institutions such as Johns Hopkins University. Private developers are at the mercy of one thing.
Market conditions have to exist.
Keith French is a Baltimore native and a developer who frequently works with the city.
There's got to be an exit strategy for us to be able to be willing to work in certain neighborhoods. It's just not there in some of these neighborhoods, unfortunately.
Things being what they are, there's no incentive for developers to come out to neighborhoods like Harlem Park. For the residents of West Baltimore, this could mean a long wait before developers decide their community is worth the trouble.
We didn't get here overnight. It's probably been 50 years in coming, and we're not going to get out overnight.
Vacants to Value identifies three major vacant housing markets in Baltimore. First, there are strong neighborhoods with only a few vacant properties here and there. Next come areas with concentrated sections of blight that still have a high potential for redevelopment. These two markets are the easiest for the city and its private partners to redevelop. There have been very promising results there. But there's a third category. Highly distressed neighborhoods not centrally located and with very little promise of immediate investment return. Guess which category covers Harlem Park?
Harlem Park is a very distressed market.
There's little to do in these cases but wait for development to make its way to these neighborhoods in time.
That would be a hope that investor interest will take hold in an area like Harlem Park.
Back in West Baltimore, Dalbert Green gives me the reasons why he thinks there are so many vacant properties in his neighborhood. He seems to feel a little left behind.
Misappropriation of funding, if anything. Putting money in the wrong place. Or maybe just sometimes a blind eye.
And criticism of Vacants to Value does not come only from residents.
I haven't seen a big impact that the Vacants to Values program has had in West Baltimore.
Maryland State Senator Verna Jones Rodwell represents the 44th District, which includes much of West Baltimore, including Harlem Park.
There's a Vacants to Values program, and before this administration, there was another program. And, so they have cute titles, but are they really impactful?
Before she was a senator, Jones Rodwell worked in community development. She does not feel telling the people of West Baltimore to wait is the right approach.
There has to be some type of packaging, some type of program initiative which includes real community capacity building.
Jones Rodwell says this would mean teaching the people of West Baltimore how to make deals with developers that would hasten along their community's resurgence instead of just passively waiting. When asked to respond, the Housing Authority said in a written statement, quote, "Baltimore is not likely to grow by 300,000 people in the foreseeable future, nor does the city have large amounts of public subsidy to incentivize private investment. Accordingly, the revitalization of all these neighborhoods is not possible at this time." Michael Braverman said the city was willing to provide some assistance to distressed communities by keeping the vacants clean and stabilizing them as needed until redevelopment is possible. He also mentioned another measure that came up quite often during my reporting: strategic demolition. That is, tearing down unsalvageable properties to at least remove the eyesore. But once again, the obstacle is money.
That's an extraordinary expense, especially in a row house town.
According to the Housing Authority's website, almost 700 properties have been demolished since the beginning of Vacants to Value. In the coming years, there are plans to demolish over 1,000 more. Therefore, until either private investors find their way out to Harlem Park or the city helps residents learn how to attract them on their own, these children and their parents may be facing the depressing daily reality of vacant buildings for quite some time. Justin Mitchell, VOR News, Baltimore.